Hi everybody, this is Red Hill Eagle, and this is something very different for my channel now. I've dabbled a little bit with role play. I did an Ironsworn Starforged, a couple of sort of episodes, didn't really go anywhere with it. So I'm going to go the RPG route again. Now, a little bit of a background. I have called myself a Star Trek and RPG noob, which I do still regard myself as that. I've never played RPGs really, apart from, as I say, I've done a little bit of Ironsworn Starforged. I've also done a little bit of Red Dwarf group play, but very little. I've had like probably 2 hours worth of experience of Dungeons and Dragons, which I know is nothing. There was an hour-long crash course of combat, and I did a little bit of play by post D&D. So yeah, my RPG experience is nothing, pretty much. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably 1.001. And with regards to Star Trek, tried to get into it in the 90s. A friend of mine tried to kind of encourage me to get into it. I watched a handful of episodes of The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. Probably enjoyed Voyager more than the others, but again, probably only watched 7 or 8 episodes maybe. Tried Discovery, didn't mind it actually, but I only watched sort of 3 or 4. I mean, it didn't grab me. But then I saw that this Captain's Log game was coming out, solo RPG. Now, I've never really had friends that have played RPGs, so if I'm going to do RPG, it's going to be solo. Okay, pretty much. As I said, I've done a little bit of play by post, but if I'm going to do RPGs, they're pretty much going to be solo. And the idea, despite not being a Star Trek fan, the idea of serving on one of those ships, or even better, being captain of one of those ships, really appeals to me. So I thought, why not? Let's buy the game, read through it. I must admit, I haven't actually finished reading through the book yet, but this introductory episode is literally an introduction. I'm going to go through the character that I've created. We might roll up a mission. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. So, but when this game came out and I bought it, I wanted to play it, and I was feeling a little bit, I suppose, confidence really, because I didn't know Star Trek at all. So I decided to start watching Enterprise, and I'm actually loving it. I'm about 4 episodes into series 2 now, so again, not very far in, but I'm getting a little bit of a feel as to how Star Trek works, and I'm getting to know some of the races and some of the way things work. So I've also decided to run my game in the Enterprise era for that reason. And also I took some advice from someone on Reddit who said, bearing in mind I don't know anything about Star Trek, they said, well, why not run a game in a different galaxy, away from the Star Trek universe, so to speak, so you don't have the baggage of the races, and or an Andorian wouldn't act like that, or a Vulcan would never do that, or what about this? And if I'm in a completely different galaxy, I've got a blank canvas. I can create my own races, and so pretty much a blank canvas. I'm still going to make mistakes. I'm still going to do things that wouldn't happen in Starfleet, that wouldn't happen on a Star Trek ship. I'm still going to, of course I am, okay? And I think probably even hardcore fans might every now and then slip up. So yeah, it's going to happen. I don't mind being corrected, but please, take care of me. Go easy, because as I say, I don't know anything about Star Trek, and my role play experience is very little as well. Up in the top left, you can see a black box. That's where I was going to have my dice, but I struggled to get it working. I think it's a combination of not a very good webcam and a pretty low or not very powerful laptop as well. I then tried to do it through my phone, and it kind of worked, but then it's just very, very laggy. So I thought, no, let's forget that. I could have redone the overlay here, But I just wanted to get cracking with this by now because I've kind of been holding it off and holding it off. So first thing, I'll go through this, the other box you can see on the right, the kind of mauve box. I'll go through that, or burgundy. I'll go through that in a second as well, because I have kind of written a preface, I guess you call it, a prologue to the series. I'm calling it a series. I really don't know how this is going to last, and I can't promise yet how often these videos are going to come out. I don't know. I've got a lot going on my channel at the moment. If you're familiar with any of my other videos, I've got 3 series going on, and it's quite a lot to keep me occupied. But I really did want to do this. So yeah, I'm just going to go through my character then. So I have created a character, Sam Roberts. I was trying to think of something, a kind of strong kind of English or American sort of name. I was thinking Jonathan Archer, and I was thinking, what a good sort of strong English name. Sam Roberts. It's not perfect, but it kind of works. They're human, from Earth. They went through struggle and hardship. They are the rank of captain, and they are the commanding officer of this vessel. Environment, homeworld. The early outlook I had as trade, but I rebelled because I wanted to explore. My education was Starfleet Academy, and I progressed through the command track. Career length, novice. Yeah, I mean, take that with a pinch of salt. I mean, if he's a captain and a commanding officer, then he's not a complete novice. But I think this is his first command. This is his the first time he's commanded a ship. Career events. At some point in his past, he solved an engineering crisis. Haven't thought about what that was yet. Maybe is something that might develop throughout the series. And he also dealt with a plague. Again, not quite sure what that was or is yet. Got the attributes and disciplines down. Control 9, daring 8, fitness 12, insight 10, presence 10, and reason 7. And disciplines, command 5, con 1, security 2, engineering 4, science 1, medicine 3. Focus is, now I'm not sure if I did this quite right actually. When I did a couple of characters sort of testing, and I originally I had a character that had all of these boxes filled in. I thought that can't be right, because I think there's areas in the game where you gain focuses. I think I might need to reread that or get some advice on that. I'm not 100% sure yet. But yeah, command, leading by example. So he gets his hands dirty. I definitely wanted that. I want to be able to go on the away team missions and that sort of thing. I don't just want to be a captain sitting in his chair and everyone else does it all. What kind of role play is that? Engineering, warp core mechanics. So he knows quite a bit about the warp core, but I don't. So how that's going to play out, I don't know. And medical as well, just microbiology. Nothing too strenuous there. Values. A couple of these are my own personal take on values, and I did a couple that are in the book. So good leaders get their hands dirty. So that matches with the whole leading by example. This second one, I've always had, I always have this in my life, and give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach them to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. So don't just do something for someone, show them how to do it. They can do it forever then, and you haven't got to keep doing it for them. That's going to be interesting to play out, bearing in mind we shouldn't really be interfering in other cultures and other life forms. So we're not going to go and teach a caveman era species computer circuitry. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's going to be interesting how I sort of play that one out. Exploration is the blood that fills my veins. That's another one from the book. So yeah, I really just want to explore. And this last one as well is something that my dad told me actually the first time I ever got made up to captain in a football team. He said, now that you're a captain, you can't ask someone to do something that you're not prepared to do yourself. And I've always had that throughout my life as well. So as a leader, Never expect someone to do something you're not prepared to do yourself. So you have to be prepared to put your life on the line if you expect your crew to put their lives on the line. Other equipment and details. Left that blank for the moment because I wasn't quite sure. I mean, he's on a starship. He's got personal possessions. They'll crop up as and when I need them, I guess. I don't want to just sort of magic, oh, I've got one of these I can use. So I do want to be a little bit sensible about how I do this. Onto the ship. Took me ages to sort of think up a name, but I come up with the USS Relentless. I had a couple of other little names, but I just thought, I don't know, Relentless works well. Registry NX07. Again, I know nothing about Star Trek, but I did look up some registries online. This one was blank. I thought I'd use it. NX class, which I believe, and again, I'm going to get corrected if I'm wrong, I believe that's the same class as the Enterprise. It's a Federation starship, and talents are advanced sensor suites, a rugged design, and saucer separation. Can't quite remember what the first two meant. I think it just meant that we can sort of double down on sensor. And the rugged design was, it's quite easy to get from one place to another. There's lots of little kind of shortcuts and that sort of thing. It's been built with ease of use in mind. And saucer separation, so the actual saucer part of the ship can come apart and it can effectively become two different ships. But I think the saucer doesn't have warp capabilities, so if you do separate and you want to get out quickly, the saucer's not going anywhere. And then systems, so comms 6, well, everything's 6 actually, from comms, computers, engines, sensors, structure, and weapons. Departments: Command 3, Con 2, Security 2, Engineering 3, Science 3, and Medicine 2. Now, I was in two minds whether to sort of use those stats whenever I have a crew member do something, but I've actually decided to create a crew and give them their own stats, and I hope you can see that on the screen now. So I've given them names and I've given them ranks and all that sort of thing, and again, there may be things here that don't fit within the Star Trek universe, but I'm going with it. We've got our science officer, Randall Harrison, a lieutenant, human. I won't go through all the stats, but yeah, they are the science officer. I mean, you can read the stats if you want. Chief engineer is Alfonso Rodriguez, another lieutenant, another human. And chief of security, Mark V, but it's 5. Mark V is a commander. So kind of, I guess my Riker, I would sort of assume my number 1 is an android. I'm kind of thinking Data, but he'll have a slightly different personality. He's a security droid as well, so he's probably just a bit more kind of, I don't want to use the word brutish, but maybe has a much more presence. I mean, I only gave him a presence of 9. What I did do with the stats here, though, is I only had them add up to 50. So for the main character, they should add up to 56. Here I've got them; they only add up to 50, and I think you can see there a maximum of. Oh, there's an 11 down here. So yeah, a maximum of 12. So I sort of took everything, and then I took 1 away from each stat, so they add up to 50. Yes, and then I have my comms officer, and my comms officer is Conscience, lieutenant, and a human. I might change that because I want them to be a little bit more. Alien might be the wrong word, and I didn't want another android, but I was trying to think of something that would just be kind of different, like some kind of energy being, maybe. Yeah, I mean, probably doesn't exist in the Star Trek world, or it's too early for the Star Trek universe. I mean, bearing in mind we're in the Enterprise era, I've kind of set this game a few years after Enterprise starts. So whereas the Star Trek Enterprise was the first, our ship is kind of, well, NX7, it's kind of the 7th ship to be built and to go off into the stars. So yeah, I don't know, but I just thought it was a cool name, Conscience. But then, would you call a human conscience? I think that'd be quite a cool name for an otherworldly being. Our helmsman is an ensign. Is it ensign or ensign? Ensign, isn't it? I'm sure it is. Again, I'm sure I'll be corrected. Umaga Shin Fei. Um, they are half human and half Illyrian. Illyrian? I'm going to say Illyrian. I don't know what Illyrians are yet. I haven't got that far into Enterprise, but I looked them up and I mean, I could have gone for the half human, half Vulcan. Um, but I mean, it's been done. I didn't want to copy Enterprise too. I did like the idea of having a Vulcan on the ship, but I didn't want to go too Star Trek Enterprise. So I've gone with half human, half Illyrian. Imagine that however you feel you should. Um, and then our chief medical officer, Mara Gaplinska, another ensign. Is it ensign or ensign? I'm trying to remember what they say on Enterprise. Ensign. They're human. Yeah, and again, I hope you've had time to sort of read through the stats. So I just want to show you this. So this is what I've just written, as I say, like a prologue, really. So I wanted to, as I say, set this game away from the Star Trek universe, or the Star Trek galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. So the USS Relentless was pulled through some kind of portal or wormhole. Scans indicated we were taken out of our galaxy, and we now find ourselves in what is known as the Hogue's object, or Hogue's galaxy. Cut off from Starfleet, the crew have been resilient, and as is human nature, we hold our heads up high and we make the best of things, and an attitude of just get on with it. The general consensus among the crew was that we can still do our job. We can still carry out our mission. We may be millions of miles from home. I know I'm going a little bit deeper than what I've written here, but we may be, well, light years from home, light years from our own galaxy. The first few days were quite hard and tough, and a lot of people were very upset, depressed. But as I say, that resilience, that human resilience, and that willingness to just carry on and just get the job done. We can still carry out our mission, and that is to explore deep space, seek out other life and other civilizations. We may not be able to send our findings back home, but I'm sure in a few thousand years, when humanity eventually makes it this far, they'll find us. Albeit, none of us will be alive to tell the stories. They'll be able to retrieve these logs. And who knows, one day, we might just find a way home. The adventure starts here. Star Trek Relentless. So yeah, I've kind of just put this in note form. I did write it up with a lot more detail. So we're 3 months in. We are 3 months into being in the Hogue's object. We haven't really done anything yet. 3 months inside Hogue's object. So we've kind of just been. I'm going to call it the Hogue's Galaxy. I think it's known as the Hogue's Object, but I call it the Hogue's Galaxy. If you don't know what that is, it's I'm sure you do, but it's a galaxy that exists where it's kind of like I think it's 3 rings. There's like a big ball of a galaxy in the middle, and then that's surrounded by like a ring galaxy. And I think somewhere, either inside that or outside that, there's a thinner sort of ring of star systems. I didn't delve too much into the research, but anyway, so yeah, we are inside the Hogue's galaxy, and we've been there for 3 months, where we basically just kind of panicked at first, I guess. Panicked, where are we, what's going on, can we communicate with Starfleet? We obviously ran some scans, we compared our position and what we could see around us with known star maps, and we discovered that we are inside the Hogue's Galaxy. That is where this wormhole or portal or whatever it was that pulled us through, that's where it brought us. That's where we are, and now we're just going to make the best of it. We have kind of accepted the fact that this is our lives now. this is the galaxy we have to call home until such a time as we find answers or we just find a way to get back to the Milky Way. So I'm going to roll up a mission because, I mean, this game really was kind of, I guess it was set up to take missions from Starfleet, but we can't do that. So I'm going to kind of roll up a mission and somewhere along the line within my story, interpret that and weave it into what we're doing. So I wish I had a camera on my dice, but I don't. So I'm going to roll and I get a 2. Conspiracy. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that as the first mission. Well, let's scroll down because there's obviously parts. Sorry, I know you can't see this, but conspiracy. While the Federation and Starfleet strive to build and protect a utopian society, the fact remains that many forces seek to tear this alliance apart. I mean, maybe this won't work if we're away from Starfleet. But let me roll on this table. This is a table in the booklet that's conspiracy. So another D20, and I get a 20. Unauthorized surveillance. Okay. Right, we are being spied on. I think that kind of makes sense. So, whilst we finally decide this is our home, we just suddenly realise we're being scanned. So, I mean, trying to think again. Would the helmsman discover that? Would the comms officer discover that? Someone would discover that. Someone would. Chief of Security. So Mark 5 discovers. Mark 5 discovers the ship is being scanned. There doesn't appear to be any objects in the area. Okay, so I know that doesn't get us very far, and this is kind of like this was meant to be an entire mission, but I don't think I can get an entire mission out of just those 2 words, conspiracy and unauthorized surveillance, 3 words. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go away and think about this. I mean, the first episode was literally just to introduce it and tell you what I've done, show you the character, and roll a mission. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you'll join me for the next episode, whenever that is. As I say, I can't promise how often I'm going to get down to play this and record, but certainly going to give it a good go. Actually, please give me any ideas as well in the comments below. If you can think of anything, if you can think of a mission from those words. I probably need to watch a little bit more Star Trek to maybe inspire me a little bit. But yeah, something to think about. So I always sign off my videos by saying, take care everybody, and goodbye.